This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are we doing today on Thursday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well. Hope you're excited for another day on the Bama Central YouTube channel, the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. We're going to have a lot of fun right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Call him at 205-758-3391. He'll help you out, get you a fast auto insurance quote, help you with your homeowner's insurance, all kinds of things in the insurance realm. Derek Daniel can take care of you. He takes care of us. We're right here with our man, Mason Woods. You follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine, writing all things recruiting for the Walsh Writing Network. You can find that at BamaCentral.com. Vanderbilt Commodores on SI, Missouri Tigers on SI, and Boston College on SI. So we appreciate Mason hanging out with us today. The show is proudly presented by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635. We'll have Brax Garrison in here tomorrow to talk football and talk roofing, but make sure you give them a call to get your roof ready for Santa to land on, to bring you your gifts. And of course, call them to make sure that you are not having any leaks and not having any damage. They'll come out and give you a free roof inspection. So call them today at 877-787-6635. Before we get going, Mason Woods, I want to go ahead and give a happy birthday to Mr. Steve Simpson. He called a couple weeks ago on the voicemail line. Unhappy. I think this was after the Oklahoma loss, but it is his 24th birthday, so I want to say happy birthday to Mr. Steve Simpson. Hope he's going to have a great day, and hope you all are going to have a great day. We're going to have a great day. We're going to be joined by our friend Katie Windham, lead writer for BamaCentral.com. You follow her at Katie Windham _ on the Twitter machine, and you subscribe to her podcast, Crimson Flame. She recently interviewed Shay Rast, an Alabama gymnast, former Alabama gymnast. She tells her story and kind of walks through her journey here at the Capstone. So I want to encourage you to check out Crimson Flame wherever you get your podcast, and of course, right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. With that, good morning, Katie. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. And just another plug for your sponsor. If anyone lives in the Tuscaloosa area, go check out the Purple Turtle Roofing tree on the Tinsel Trail. It's definitely one of the most creative. And just go check out the Tinsel Trail in general. One of the fun things that Tuscaloosa does during the holiday season.
Absolutely. I'm a big Christmas guy, Katie. Is Christmas? Where does Christmas rank in your holiday power rankings?
Definitely number one for sure. I mean, Easter, the impact of it, obviously the best. Jesus coming to life gives us life, but he had to come to earth first. So, and then Santa, he's pretty good too. So I hope all of y'all are being good this year, because he sees you when you're sleeping and awake. So I hope you're on the nice list this year, everyone.
Absolutely. We are going to try to be on the nice list. Mason, Christmas on the power rankings, 1, 5, 8, 3?
Not 1. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy.
Yeah.
The people sleep on Thanksgiving. Big Halloween guy too. Probably 3rd. Probably 2nd or 3rd.
In top 3, that's pretty good.
I like Christmas. It's too much. It's too much every day. Every year, it's too much. It's too much. I get over it quick.
I got the tree lit in the house with the colored lights, and it's just nice and warm.
I appreciate it, and it's all nice to look at and everything, but it's just a stressful time of year.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, it can be, and I'm feeling a little bit of that. I'm sure you're all feeling a little bit of that, and hopefully we'll give you a break from some of that today on the Joe Gaither Show. What we're going to do is go through the last couple of weeks of Alabama football with Katie Windham, because it's been about, was it before the Iron Bowl? It was before Oklahoma game. It's been about three weeks or so since we've talked to Katie. We want to go back down memory lane and talk about last year's trip to Norman, what we remember, what stood out. Can Alabama turn things around? Mason, Cam Metzger messaged me on Facebook. He said he's with you. He said, I'm feeling like this Alabama offense is going to be in the tank, and it's going to be ugly out there. So
my opinion still has not changed.
21-3, Katie Mason says already. He says 21-3 Oklahoma. So with that, let's go back to last year. What do you remember about last year's trip to Oklahoma? And just how do you think the Crimson Tide can change things this time around?
Well, first, I remember I was wearing this exact top, so I didn't know we were going to do a flashback, but I was wearing this. I remember just that was not the same Oklahoma we're seeing this year. That was a 6-5 Oklahoma, or maybe 5-5 at the time. I think
that got them
6-5.
bowl eligible, didn't it?
Or maybe 5-6. I don't know, because last year, it was the game right before the Iron Bowl. They did the cupcake game the week before. So I remember heading in, Alabama had a lot on the line. Basically, you just had to handle business against the not good teams left on your schedule, and you were going to secure a spot in the playoff, probably potentially a first-round bye, depending on who they faced in the SEC championship last year. And even with the 2 losses in conference already, I think based on how it was, I'm pretty sure they would have – I don't remember who else was in the mix, but I think they would have made the SEC title game. And then I actually went back and looked at the box score of that game the other day and it was during the SEC championship when our colleague Will Miller and I were debating whether Saturday's game or the Oklahoma game last year was worse. And I said Saturday was worse. Because last year against Oklahoma, the offense at least drove down the field that very first drive and scored. Now, they did have to settle for a field goal, and they drove other times. Last Saturday, Alabama did not move the ball at all. It was 3 and out after 3 and out. Didn't move it until the very end of the game when they were really held by penalties. So last year, you just had – it was kind of like a comedy of errors. You had the turnovers that helped Oklahoma get up big. You had the Ryan Williams thing that got called back. So they were at least moving the ball last year. I think they just really got hurt by the turnovers. I don't know. I just remember it being a disgusting game and then being down on the field, getting prepared at the end, being prepared to be field rushed again, and just thinking, how did this happen to this Alabama team that they were in such a – even after losing to Vanderbilt, which to us at the time, was shell shock just because of where the 2 programs had been and Alabama not losing a ton to unranked opponents under Saban. And then coming back and then just having killed LSU 2 weeks earlier, we think, okay, this team has turned a corner. They're in a good spot heading into the postseason, and then just laying a big old egg in Norman. So that's kind of what I remember from that game last year. I remember us listening to the Ain't No Love in Oklahoma song, and then that turning out to be true.
I also remember introducing Hunter to the musical Oklahoma. And the Oklahoma with the wind go. He goes, "Oh, really? That's a musical?" I said, "Oh, very famous, very famous."
Oklahoma, yeah.
So lots of fun out there. I mean, it was a great experience outside of the 3-hour game. I mean, I really enjoyed the stadium. I thought was really well constructed, really, really well. A good venue. They had the Heisman Trophy laying on the outside. We ate fairly well. It was a beautiful trip. So if anybody's thinking about on the fence about not sure what they want to do next weekend, if you've got an opportunity, I would encourage you to get out there, because the Oklahoma people were pretty hospitable to us. I can't speak for everybody, but at least for us, I thought they were pretty hospitable. And I thought the food and the scenery, and I mean, they love football just like you do, Alabama fans. So it was a great time to be out there. Mason, you didn't think about 406 yards anymore. Jalen Milroe moved the ball against this team.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. Jalen Milroe moved the ball against his team because he was really athletic and he could outrun people, not because he threw the ball super well. Ty Simpson isn't super athletic and can't outrun people, and he also, cannot throw the ball really well.
All right, so let's look at Bama Central's cover this morning. Katie Windham writes 3 areas where Alabama can improve ahead of the first-round matchup. And, Mason, we'll just get your perspective on them. She goes offensive line play 1, turnovers 2, and special teams 3.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
What's you going to reorder those in any way, or what's the easiest to fix? Is it, the offensive line the offensive line is what it is.
The easiest to fix is probably special teams, because I think it seemingly is just a reps thing. We're like, they just don't look that prepared out there, especially against Georgia. So I would imagine that's the easiest thing to fix in this next 8 days here, where you have practice and you can run through these punt teams, these punt return, kickoff return, whatever it is, field goal. I would think that's the easiest to fix. I think offensive line, like you said, it is what it is. There's no fixing what that is at this point. You're going to have to work around that offensive line. You're going to have to design an offense in spite of the offensive line at this point of the season. That being said, it's still the most important issue on the team is the offensive line and how bad they've been this year. We were we went into this year thinking, all right, you've got 3 guys that we think are pretty good, 2 guys that are a little bit of a question mark, but you have in reality had like 1 guy that's been pretty good and then 4 kind of question marks. I mean, Caden Proctor's played the whole season, but still a question mark to me. I don't really know what you're going to get out of him week in, week out.
Question mark, he won the SEC blocking trophy of the year, the blocker of the year.
Those people don't watch football, clearly.
What is it? The Jacobs blocking trophy? Is that what it's called?
He was also first team, right? That's
first team All SEC. That's right.
He will get a GM fired next year.
Oh man. Speaking of that, you saw Field Yates put out his Jacobs blocking trophy. Field Yates put out his latest mock draft, has Caden Proctor going 27 to Cleveland Browns. Yes, Arvell Reese, number 5.
Welcome aboard, buddy.
Man, that would make me
excited. Look
great
in two-tone blue.
Yeah, I would be buying that uniform right ASAP.
Yeah, they're doing the rivalry jersey next year, so if it happens, I will be having an Arvell Reese. Whatever that jersey looks like, it will be mine.
He's a bad man. But Ty Simpson, 31 to the Los Angeles Rams.
Let's keep putting Ty in first round mocks, folks. Let's keep his name in those first round mock drafts because that is what you need if you're Alabama.
Absolutely. So, Katie, let's go back to Mason's point on special teams, fixing the Alabama special teams. Alabama in this last November Oklahoma game, 3 weeks ago, you have a missed chip shot field goal from Connor Talty, probably the easiest place to start. But you also have a pretty punt coverage. The first punt of the day, Lazier Brooks misses a guy, then chases him down after chasing him down for 30 yards, giving Oklahoma a pretty short field for their second possession or first or second possession. So you had a bad punt coverage. And then probably the biggest standout, Ryan Williams fumbles inside Alabama's own 30, setting Oklahoma's offense up. What did you asked Coach DeBoer about setting two returners back there. The punt coverage has been hit or miss. I mean, Georgia, Zach Branch had a pretty nice little 24-yard return this past Saturday. Just what's your feel on the special teams? Because I do agree with Mason that is the easiest place to go from a 4 to a 7, 4 to an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's probably the thing you can fix the most at this point. Like, I don't know if they are, though. I mean, I wrote in there, like, Connor Talty stepped up big in the Iron Bowl. He didn't have the opportunity to kick a field goal against Georgia, so maybe he's kind of gotten his confidence back. He went through the fire. He went through the ringer. He got the hate from the fans, and maybe, he's come out on the other side of that, and that would be big for this Oklahoma matchup, like you talked about. Last time he missed the easy field goal, and this is a game where points could be at a premium, probably will be at a premium. So you can't, really afford to be missing, especially on the road in a true road environment where Alabama only got an allotment of, I think, 3,500 tickets, which is like not a lot at all. I think it was even across all CFP sites in the first round, but that's way less than regular season. I don't think there will be a ton of Alabama fans there just because there weren't a lot of tickets directly from the university. You had to have like 16,000 Tide Pride points, which is like means you've given like in the millions to Alabama to get tickets to this game. And then because fans are saving up for other rounds, like I just don't think there will be a ton of Alabama fans there. I don't think it's going to be a super friendly place to play this weekend. So if you miss a field goal, that can be a big momentum switch. I do think it's interesting. I just thought about this as we were talking, and then you brought it up. Ryan Williams muffed that punting against Oklahoma, and that was basically the only game he's been back at punt return. And Kalen, when I asked him on the Monday after, he said it was basically something in the way that Oklahoma's punter punts is that sometimes he's really short, sometimes he's really long. And so they liked the concept of having 2 people back there. So I wonder if they do that again. Something I was thinking about a lot during the SEC championship is like, which then, of course, Cole Adams at the very end kind of bobbled a ball and lost a couple yards, which at that point it was whatever. But like they've had him back there because he's sure-handed, not because he's dynamic. And in a game like this past Saturday, I felt like you needed a dynamic play from special teams or defense. You needed something to give a spark to kind of break the game open, give Alabama some good field position. And like the way the punt return has been this season, like that is not happening. Like it just is not. Like Cole Adams is not going to get you a 20, 30, 40-yard punt return. Maybe I'll eat my words and that'll be great if I do. But you're just not getting that spark from that. And then Lazier Brooks has tried on kickoff return multiple times to be that spark. And I feel like kickoff coverage in college, it's so hard to get past the 25. Like it just, unless you're catching the ball at like the 9, you're probably not going to, you're better off just taking the fair catch. So I just don't think you're probably going to get that spark in the return games. But I think the biggest things are going to be the kicking and then the actual punts, which at times this year Blake Dowd, I would say, was like the unsung hero of this team, especially when they were going through the offensive struggles. And then the last couple of weeks maybe hasn't been as great. I think you need him to be good again. Probably not great, but like that was also the killer on Saturday in the SEC championship was like, I could not get over how horrible the field position was the entire game. Like they never started better than their own 25. And part of that is like punting, never being able to really flip the field. Part of that was the defense not stepping up like they have and pinning Georgia back. It's like every time they would somehow get, I mean, there were a couple 3-and-outs, but like a lot of times they would get a first down, or even if they went 3-and-out, they already had good field position. Alabama was just, the offense wasn't doing good. And then it kept starting with really bad field position. So I think it would be nice if you could flip the field some. Oklahoma's punter was able to do that. I think he has a pretty high average punts if you go back and look at it. So, yeah, I think it is something that can be fixed because some of it is like technique, some of it is like focus. But because, yeah, offensive line, like I just maybe guys getting healthier. Kalen has brought up Parker Brailsford multiple times, not being 100%, even though he still played the last 2 games. Gino's been in and out, which I don't really know how much, I don't know about him. But like Mason, you said something about like you just got to build your offense like around basically the offensive line being bad. And it's like, can you do that? Like everything starts with them. Like they literally snap the ball and then like they got to block on a pass or a run. So like if you can't, I don't know, it's just been mind blowing really how poor they've played. And Joe, you know this probably better than the other two of us, just because you like actually know the X's and O's a little more and have broken it down in some of your film studies, that like they're not getting the push. They're not helping in the run game. They have not been good in pass protection lately. Like it just, and then if you can't do either of those things, what can your offense do? If you can't run the ball and then you're putting a lot on your quarterback's shoulders and he's not in a good headspace, then you're not gonna move the ball. So, yeah.
Oh, you're making Mason feel even better about his 21-3.
This offense just has really, really glaring deficiencies.
Okay, so Katie, go back to what you were saying there just a little bit with the health aspect, because that's what Coach DeBoer basically not pounded the table, but emphasized. After the SEC championship game, he emphasized we didn't have Jan Miller, Kevin Riley, Daniel Hill's playing hurt, Parker Brailsford playing hurt. We didn't have Cam Dewberry. Cam Dewberry would be playing left guard. We wouldn't have had to play Gino Vandermark. Yeah, maybe Cam Dewberry plays left guard. Gino steps in and helps Parker's health and backup center. We don't have them. It was just a litany of guys playing through pain. And Ty Simpson's used the line, everybody's playing through pain right now. Everybody's hurt right now. Everybody's dinged up right now. And kind of gives you that wink and a nod smile like, I'm hurt, but I'm not hurt. I'm not feeling great, but it's okay. What do you think? I mean, Mason this week has been, you can't get healthy in 2 weeks. It's not going to take a big jump in 2 weeks. Okay, that's a perspective. What's your perspective on how much a team can get healed up in basically 13 days?
I mean, I think you can, depending on what your injury is, but really like Kalen, I think he was kind of using the 2 weeks in the post game because like it was part of his playoff spiel, which really I saw a tweet, and I apologize, I don't know who said it, that I think outside of the 2 G5 teams who also were playing in championship games this weekend, every other playoff team besides Alabama and the G5 teams has 3 weeks before the first game because they either played in the championship game and got a first round bye, or they were not playing last week. And like Ole Miss or Texas A&M and had 3 weeks to get ready for this game. Oklahoma's been sitting at home. They've had, which like I'm sure they weren't necessarily scouting Alabama again because most people didn't think they would be in that 9 spot, but they've had more time to rest and prepare. And especially with Alabama playing that Friday game, that's even, one less day to get better. So I think there will be some guys that look better. I think like sometimes there's guys that they always talk about, if they truly are day to day, well, then they've had, 13 more days to get better. So I think there are some guys like Jay Miller. I think there's some guys like Cuevas that like, based on what their injuries are, like probably, aren't going to be ready in 2 weeks. So I don't know. I think they will get some help back. And I think some guys will bodies will benefit from having a couple of days off. But Alabama's actually not, and it's not like that it's rigged against Alabama. It's just the way it worked out, and Alabama did this to themselves by losing the SEC championship. But Alabama's not having as much time to rest and recover as basically every other team in the playoff.
And one more topic on this game as we go ahead with Katie Windham. You can follow Katie Windham at Katie Windham _. You were kind of mentioning, people, Oklahoma may or may not have expected Alabama to get to the college football playoff. We went, oh man, Mason and I went about an hour 20 on Tuesday going back and forth about deserve or resume or who should be in, who should be out. Is this team good enough to be a playoff team? Just take us back to your Sunday, Katie, because you wrote the initial Alabama is in story for BamaCentral.com. You're sitting there on your computer. You're watching Reese Davis. You're watching the ESPN pop-up logos left and right. What was your perspective of Alabama being in at number 9, resume versus eye test versus trending, all of this stuff? Just kind of take us through your thought process on Sunday and your reactions.
I was fully expecting them to be number 10, not number 9. And that's kind of what I've had pre-written. And so then I was scrambling at the last second. And then hopefully none of y'all out there read my story in the first 60 seconds it was up, because there was a lot of incorrect stuff in there, because I initially just changed the number and the opponent, and then I was like, crap, there's other stuff in there that I thought was going to be, and I got to go back and delete that and add more stuff and change it. I was fully expecting them to be in, just kind of the way the narrative was around college football after they lost on Saturday, the way the betting odds were. It seemed like, okay, Alabama's in. The SEC will probably riot if they're not, but I was not expecting them to be 9, to not drop. I think there's, obviously from other fan bases, especially those that may have gotten left out, or those like BYU that lost their championship game and then dropped, but they weren't really in the field to begin with necessarily. I think I understand those arguments, but I think Alabama kind of got the trump card in losing in a way of like, we lost the SEC champion, who we also beat on the road. We have a road win over the SEC champion now. Like, it kind of, in a way, bolstered the resume in a weird way that I think helped. And eye test lately, Alabama has not looked good. They really haven't looked good on offense since the Tennessee game. Basically, South Carolina on has not been great. It's kind of strange in the Oklahoma game. You look back, they did put up a lot of yards, but were not able to convert it into points, and then had some bad turnovers that cost them a lot. So eye test has not been great, but I think this team has obviously proven like they can beat anyone, they can compete with anyone. So I'm not like, I'm not down on them. That's like the possibility of them doing well in the playoffs. I don't think things are going to become a 180. I don't think the offensive line is all of a sudden going to become amazing and that they can run the ball well. Even though Kalen, when he was asked about that, I can't remember if it was in the post game or in the teleconference on Sunday, he was basically like trying to talk about how the run game had been good lately. And then he's like, well, I know we had negative yards on Saturday. And it's like, well, that's which like they had shown some flashes of like progress
against Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn's got a good defense.
Yeah, Auburn's got a good defense. Like before, and that's the thing in this stretch where the offense has looked bad. They have played good defenses. Like South Carolina has a good defense. LSU has a good defense. Oklahoma obviously has a really good defense. Auburn does. Georgia. Like they have been good defenses, but like that's what you're going to face in the playoffs. You're going to face the best of the best. So I think Alabama probably did deserve a spot in the field. They put that into question, like with their performance on Saturday, because to me that was abysmal. To me, that's not a playoff performance. That's not a playoff team. I don't care who's injured. I don't care whatever. I don't care that you're trying to win. So that's why you go for it on 4th and 2. Well, like really, you should get that 4th and 2 then. Like you should have a better play call, or you should execute it better and like not embarrass yourself like that. I don't know if the players were embarrassed or not. I didn't get to talk to many players after the game, just lost in a tie at the podium. It seemed like from what y'all reported from being at the player scrums, they were just pretty mumble. Didn't have much to say about that. Obviously that the result was evidence what the committee did, that game didn't really matter. Like that you could go out there and lay an egg and you could still get in the playoffs. So in a way, I get it, but I think you want to see more competitive fire heading into the postseason and show that you can, because I say you showed you can beat and compete with the best, but like you were just facing one of the best and looked horrible. So I don't know. You got to get some stuff turned around. You got to get some people back on track. You got to get some people in a better mental space before the playoff.
We're hanging out live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios with Katie Windham. You follow her at Katie Windham _. We're hanging out with Mason Woods as well. Follow him at MA_Woods_ on the Twitter. And this kind of spins us into maybe something that's happening today. Mason, you brought it up, and right before we got started, obviously Katie kind of highlighting Alabama's resume against some of these bubble teams, BYU, Notre Dame. You've got Vanderbilt and Texas as well. Everybody kind of, we got left out. It's not fair. X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And the Notre Dame athletic director has been quite loud about his perspective on the ACC, their partnership. It seems kind of like the ACC ran a silent campaign for Miami, silent but not so silent campaign for Miami.
They aired that game 25 times that day before the playoffs.
But I mean, Miami is the member institution. Yep. Miami is but
Notre Dame's got a partnership, Joe.
Right. And so the athletic director has been pretty unhappy about how the ACC has treated them and treated this partnership. And according to Dan Wolken, you've got many people upset about this memorandum of understanding that Notre Dame apparently has in future years going into college football playoff. If we're ranked top 12, we're in the at-large spot, period, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And people, Woken is reporting that there is reportedly a feel of we're not going to schedule Notre Dame anymore because we don't want them to be in the top 12. You've got to go play Western Tech, Carolina State University, not a Power 4 team. Well, Mason, take us just kind of into what you thought about this report, Notre Dame, how they're handling this, just everything in general that you told me about, that you talked about before we started.
It brings genuine joy to my heart to watch Notre Dame squirm like this. I have never been a fan of Notre Dame, will never be a fan of Notre Dame. I think that they have skirted by for far too long on already getting preferential treatment as is because they get to remain an independent while everybody else has to play in a conference. So I am all for watching them sit here and crumble under the pressure of missing out on the playoff, taking their ball and going home with it because they don't want to play anymore. I would love to see everyone freeze Notre Dame out. Join a conference. Be like the rest of us. Play a tough conference. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, well, we have a partnership with the ACC. Well, we're not a member. You don't get to do that. You're either a member or you're not. So I'm all for this. I would love to see everyone get together and freeze Notre Dame out if this is the way that they want to take things.
Yeah, Woken, his tweet, this is from Yahoo Sports, who he works for, and then he quote tweeted it. After learning of Notre Dame's memorandum of understanding that grants the Irish preferential playoff access starting next year, athletic directors in other leagues are threatening to freeze Notre Dame out of future scheduling. His quote tweet says, "This is actively happening within leagues. The memorandum of understanding and the Bavecchia press tour is not going well across college sports." I mean, you saw the other day, they basically said, Ivan Maisel, your book tour, your book event is canceled. Ivan Maisel has written a book on Frank Leahy, one of the great Notre Dame coaches. They get a lot of backlash online because all the writers stand up for Ivan Maisel, and they said, "Okay, it's back on. You can come do your book tour and sell your book in our bookstore."
Bullying works.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
What do you think about all this? Sometimes. Yeah, I mean, really though, if teams are not scheduling them, doesn't that kind of work in their favor? Because then they can just go 12-0 and they'll be in. I think they would be in if they were 12-0.
12-0 against FCS opponents.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be all FCS. They're going to play some teams every year. Like they're always going to play Boston College because of the Catholic connection. There's some schools that are always going to be on the schedule. That if it's they almost got in now with which they did, they played 2 SEC teams. They played some ACC teams, which they have that agreement with ACC, I think, where they play 5 a year or whatever it is. They play USC. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out because I don't think they're going to join a conference. So.
Well, this applies to us in this sense. There we go. I want to see schedules. Gaither. Let's see. What? Yeah. Not that. I want rescheduled. Yeah. This applies to us in this sense, Mason. Notre Dame is on Alabama's future schedule, 2029 and 2030. Now, obviously, that's several years out. You have at Notre Dame in 29. You're hosting Notre Dame in 30. You also have your versus Oklahoma State in 2029, the second game of that little agreement. And you have the first game of at Georgia Tech, a home-and-home series in 2030. So you have two Power 4 games on 2029 and 2030 schedule. You saw Georgia go ahead and eliminate their game with NC State and Louisville yesterday. They replaced their Louisville game with Tennessee State next year. Great. Will Greg Byrne pull the plug on Notre Dame?
Yes.
No.
I mean, I think he would have done that regardless. That was happening even before this press tour from Notre Dame happened. I mean, they were getting rid of that game regardless, I think. It's athletic directors seemingly across the country, and I don't really know that they're all that wrong, if I'm being honest, but they are under the impression that it's not really beneficial to them to schedule these hard games at this point with the way the seeding has gone for the college football playoff, the way that the committee has determined who they put in these games, especially if you're an SEC team when you already have a 9-game SEC schedule. There's not really any need for those extra games.
Katie.
I would love to see them, but
Katie, will Greg Byrne pull the plug on Notre Dame?
One reason I think he wouldn't is because it seems like to him and to the Alabama athletic department right now, everything's about the bottom dollar. And a game like that will bring in a lot of money, a lot of TV money, a lot of ticket sales, a lot of revenue around the city. Fans want that matchup. You've got to keep your season ticket holders happy. If you keep jacking up their Tide Pride rates every year, if you keep jacking up their ticket prices every year, and games like that, having them in the season ticket package make it more worth it. But it will be interesting to see what direction they decide to go with scheduling over the next couple of years, especially when it does go to 9 SEC games. Because I remember when all these games were announced a couple of years ago, we're all so excited. Oh, we're going to get to go to Notre Dame. We're going to get to go to we're going to get to go to Ohio State. How many of those actually are going to turn up? Because I don't. Because in a way, it's like, yeah, like you're scheduling hard doesn't necessarily benefit you, like, until it does. Like Texas, the only reason they were being considered is because, like, of, their SEC schedule is pretty soft, which they can't control that. But like they played Ohio State early on. Like there are times that it does benefit you having a tougher schedule, but probably just playing the SEC 9 games will be a tough enough schedule for most opponents. I think it's more. It will help your resume in some ways. And then also it is a big thing for the fan bases, for your season ticket holders to have those type of mashups at home.
Yeah, if you look at Texas, Mason, they were 9-3, right? They're 9-3, and they're crying about we should have been in because we played Ohio State close. If you win either of the 2 SEC games that you lost, people point to the Florida loss because that's the bad one, and that's the one they should have definitely won. You win that game, you're in this field, or you beat Georgia on the road. Like look at Alabama. You played Power 4 Florida State and you lost, and obviously Florida State turned out to be pretty bad. But you lost to Florida State and you lost to Oklahoma. So basically, Texas, you lost to Florida and you lost to Ohio State, a really bad team and a really good team. If Alabama goes on the road to Athens and wins, beats Georgia, keeps themselves in the at-large. If Texas, you go on the road to Athens and win, you're in the college football field.
But they also would have been in if they had just gone and played Western Carolina Tech in week 2 as well, and been 10-2 at the end of the year.
Not necessarily
because they lost those 2 games to Florida and to that's why they got knocked out. Sure. But you look at a 10-2 Texas resume, that's a whole lot different story than a 9-3.
Katie?
Well, I don't know though, because Vanderbilt's 10-2 and they didn't get in. But
that's Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean the brand of Texas probably would have
dumb committee members who look at pictures on a helmet and say, "Well, they're better than the other." Yeah, like there's a reason they gave Alabama preferential treatment and putting them at 9.
No, they didn't get preferential treatment. They earned it by going to Athens and winning,
and then getting demolished.
Two separate nights.
They're not equal. One of them was a 3-point win, and one was a 21-point demolition
on the road.
Okay,
what was the sound? what was the sound that was played in Athens? Like the second down sound over and over. Yeah.
Okay, so they deserve to
running.
be in the playoff because they heard a loud sound
Over and over and over again.
This
Mental
means
warfare.
If they had put any semblance of a football team on the field last Saturday, I am giving you that argument 100%. But they didn't. They looked atrocious against Georgia in that SEC title game. So that outweighs the win.
They did put a semblance. A defense was out there.
Honestly, don't know if it was Alabama preferential treatment or more like SEC as a conference preferential treatment of like, we're not going to punish the because really I think, which this could be a little tinfoil hat, but like I think things like the CFP committee or people in other parts of the country are actually looking to punish Alabama more because of the success they had, like under Saban, and have had as a program. Like, look at how far they dropped after they lost to Oklahoma. Look what happened to them last year. If they really got preferential treatment, they would have gotten in last year. Like, they were better than SMU or whoever, that was. I think people don't want Alabama in, even though, like, I'm sure ESPN does from a brand perspective and money, but I think it was more of a SEC, Greg Sankey, I'm going to kill you if our conference championship game loser doesn't get in or gets punished for losing.
Fair.
Ollie Wood saying, "Here we go again," feeling both of us getting excited. Getting excited.
I think Alabama deserves to be in the playoff over Tulane and James Madison.
Sure.
However, that's not the way the rules are set up. Those two teams have to be in it because of the way that they have designed these rules. So therefore, I'm not necessarily buying that Alabama deserves a playoff spot. I think that given the way these rules are set up and the way that Alabama has played the last 6 weeks leading into this, where we are right now, I just don't think that team deserved a playoff spot.
Mason, is there any world where Oregon and Ole Miss beat the brains out of these two G5 schools and they change the rules?
I think so.
Oh,
please. I think it's pretty likely, in all honesty. I think the Power 4 programs or conferences, they're a lot louder than the Group of Five, and they'll be able to sway those things. I mean, I already saw the report last night, I think, from was it Brandon Marcello writing a story for, I think, Yahoo about potential changes coming forth in the college football playoffs. Like, they're already going to be changing it again.
So they'll probably change them anyway, just because it's two of them in there. People don't like that.
I don't like it, period.
Yeah, I mean, they don't deserve to be there. That's, I think, objectively, I know that people are, in any other sport, if you win your conference, you have a chance to compete. This is not any other sport. College football is different. You got 140 teams competing where 70% of them basically aren't playing the same sport as the other 30%.
Well, I would tell you I would love this playoff a whole lot more if BYU and Notre Dame were in those two spots. Or Texas and Notre Dame, or Vanderbilt and Notre Dame, any of those would be my preference.
Those are the actual 12 best teams in the country, and that's what this was always supposed to be about, but it never has been.
All right, let's keep going here. Saturday is a big day in college football. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy finalists. We haven't done that this week. We won't spend a whole lot of time right there because there's no Alabama guys, but I do feel like we should mention it. Before we do, though, we want to remind you the program is brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635 for all of your roofing needs. We'll have Brax Garrison join us tomorrow to talk about where he's been. I know he was doing a roof install on Wednesday. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. Call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-PT-ROOF-5. That's 877-787-6635. Purple Turtle Roofing. All right, guys, let's get into the only college football of the weekend, and it is the Heisman Trophy finalists. And I find myself, the reason I want to talk about this is I find myself having a hard time choosing between three guys. I think you've got a really, really great Heisman Trophy finalist field this season. You've got Julian Sayin from Ohio State. You've got Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. You've got Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, and you've got Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. So there's your SEC representation. Obviously, we saw Diego Pavia grab his you-know-what right here in Tuscaloosa as they lost. But, Mason, what do you think about this field? Because I think I would have I think my controversial take is that no doubt Julian Sayin is fourth. No doubt. Now, he will probably finish second, but I think that if I were casting a ballot, it would be no doubt fourth for me. But I would have a really, really hard time deciding 1, 2, and 3 between Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia, and Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, it's I think it's hard. I think there's kind of two parts to the discussion, the Heisman discussion. Nobody really wants to recognize it. Everybody wants to either get angry about, well, it's supposed to be just the best player in college football, or get angry about, well, it's supposed to be the guy that led, like it's all about storylines and comparing that with how well you played this season. And for Julian Sayin, I think statistically, you look at what he's done this year, he's probably been the most impressive quarterback of that bunch. But none of the storylines have been there. He has not gotten the ESPN features that Diego Pavia has gotten, that Fernando Mendoza has gotten, that Jeremiah Love has gotten. So people don't know about him as much. People just see a faceless quarterback leading Ohio State to dominant wins when they scroll through their phone every week. Nobody's really watching him like that. They have not been as national. I mean, I know that they've been number one all year, but it's because they've been blowing teams out week in, week out. It's not because they've been in like close, tough matchups, really. So yeah, I'm with you. I think despite Julian Sayin probably being the most impressive, like, statistical quarterback there, he should be fourth, because I just don't know that the Heisman resume matches up with the other three. Now, Fernando Mendoza, I think the story is obviously great. Transfers from Cal, comes to Indiana. Kurt Cignetti sells him on, hey, let's build this thing up, and he does exactly that. Turns Indiana into a powerhouse. He's great in the media. He does great interviews. I think he's pretty well liked by almost everybody. I'm not sure I've seen one negative tweet about Fernando Mendoza from anyone ever this year. So, I mean, I think he's a shoe-in to win, in my opinion. I think it should be Fernando Mendoza. Diego Pavia, kind of the same thing, not quite as personable as Fernando may be. I think he's a little more polarizing, but you look at what he's done with Vanderbilt, and I mean, I know it's not single-handedly just Diego Pavia. It's Clark Lee. It's them recruiting well. It's them building all of this stuff together over the last 4 or 5 years. But, like, if we want to just boil it down to one sentence, like, Diego Pavia has completely changed Vanderbilt football. And that is something that you thought was impossible this time 2-3 years ago. So I think there's a lot to be said for his Heisman campaign there. And he's had a great season. I mean, going off of last year, it was kind of like, all right, he's not really that great of a quarterback. He's just a gutsy guy. Vanderbilt kind of wins in spite of him sometimes, whatever. But he's been great this year. You look at, I think it was he was great in that LSU game. He was great against Tennessee. He was decent against Bama even when they played. I know the defense kind of shut him down a bit, but he was all right. And then the last guy, Jeremiah Love. I don't know. Jeremiah Love might finish fourth just because running back. People might just see that RB in front of his name and pick, all right, he's not the Heisman, but he is maybe the most impressive football player of the entire group. I would say. I think he is going to have a very long and productive NFL career, and I really like him as a running back. I think he is really, really, really good. Doesn't quite have the numbers to match what Ashton Genty did last year, but I think that's just because of a lack of opportunity. He didn't get the ball quite as much as Ashton Genty did last year.
So who are you voting for? You get one vote.
Fernando Mendoza.
What's your ballot look like?
I'm going Mendoza, Pavia, Sayin, Love.
Whew. All right, Katie Windham. What do you think about the Heisman finalists and how it's going to play out on Saturday?
I really I don't know if I've watched. I know I haven't watched an entire Ohio State or Indiana game this year. I watched a decent amount of. Well, actually, not even that much. I was going to say of Ohio State, Michigan, but then I left, I think, in the first half to start driving over to Auburn. So I really haven't seen these guys play very much. I think Mendoza will win. I really don't have a ton of exciting commentary on the Heisman.
Be the flipping Heisman.
Yeah, no, I think Mendoza will. I mean, Mendoza won the Walter Camp yesterday. It was announced, and basically that's a very strong indicator of who will win the Heisman. I do think that Mendoza will win on Saturday, and I just have a really hard time picking. I guess if I had to pick, I would go Mendoza, Love, Pavia, Sayin on my ballot, and I do think that Julian Sayin has been excellent. But I knock him down because I mean, who else is throwing to Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah,
And with that offensive line and with that great defense,
Man, he is delivering that ball exceptionally.
Sure. But I go back to the very first game of the year where they're playing Texas and Ryan Day's calling one of the more conservative game plans in the world because he's got a great defense, and Sayin makes a couple of throws, and great, they were, but it wasn't like it's like we're asking Julian to go win the game for us, go put Ohio State on the map. But I do think that it will end up as Mendoza, Sayin. I think you're right. I think it'll end up with Mendoza, Sayin, Pavia, Love. It'll be Jeremiah Love is going to get fourth.
I think I flipped Pavia, and I don't know. Pavia's issue, I think, is there's just going to be too many old voters that don't like him as a person, so they will not want to vote for him to be the Heisman.
And we're voting for a Vanderbilt guy.
Yeah, that's going to be a big chunk of it too. He's going to. I don't think he is nearly as bad as Johnny Manziel was at his peak, personality-wise.
No.
But he is going to get that sort of moniker where it's like, well, you saw what happened the last time we gave a Heisman to somebody like this. And, I think a lot of people are going to unfortunately not vote for him because of that. Although I do love Diego Pavia.
In 12 games for Jeremiah Love, he has 1,600 yards from scrimmage and 21 touchdowns.
Pretty dang good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his, but obviously it's a quarterback award.
All right, should have gotten a defensive player up there.
Arvell Reese.
Yeah, should have been Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Cassius Howard, Texas A&M,
Sure.
the SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
The linebacker from Texas Tech. I know a lot of people were upset about him not getting an invite. I'm blanking. Jacob Rodriguez. Oh, well.
All right, so that'll be on Saturday. Let's move forward with one final topic. Before we do, Katie, why don't you tell us about Crimson Flame? You had a gymnast on this past week. Everybody needs to go find Crimson Flame on the Bama Central YouTube channel, on the Bama Central, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. You can find all the episodes right there. You can follow all the episodes at Katie Windham _. Tell us about you're about 12, 15 episodes in by now. You're a pro.
Yeah, I think 12 full episodes now. I've been having some fun over there, talking to former athletes, current coaches. I'm going to be on a little bit of a break from the show for the next couple weeks, just with the holidays and school being on a break and traveling for the CFP and all that. It might be kind of hard to keep up with, but then hopefully in the new year, I had a YouTube commenter yesterday asked for some softball. We'll definitely have some of that in the new year. I'm sure Patrick Murphy will be on at some point soon. Have some other exciting guests lined up. So just kind of focus on all things women's athletics, having some people share their experiences with Alabama that competed for the Crimson Tide. And I think hearing some stories that you don't normally hear, just because even some of the women's sports that get coverage, like softball or gymnastics or maybe women's basketball, you don't get as much long form stuff in that. So hearing people listen to it, and I know I talk fast, so maybe you can't bump up your podcast speed, but maybe you can a little bit if you don't have a lot of time to tune into the episodes. But I would appreciate people going and checking it out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.
Absolutely. If Katie taking a small break, that's a great time to catch up and listen to all 12 episodes of Crimson Flame. Let's dive into a gross topic and handle it kind of well. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because of the coaching rumors for the Alabama side. But yesterday, Michigan decided to fire Sharon Moore, inappropriate relations with a staff member, and Sharon Moore honestly had a tough day yesterday. So made some bad decisions, but had a very tough day as well. So feel for him on the human side. Feel for his family on the human side. The only reason I'm bringing this up, Mason, is because as soon as Michigan announces we're firing Kalen DeBoer, boom, the coaching carousel rumors put Kalen DeBoer right on the first seat, the second seat.
It was right behind Jed Fish. It was like 25-1 and 24-1 or something like that. Yes,
exactly. So let's finish this show up by giving our feel on Kalen DeBoer and what his future will be in Tuscaloosa. If he's going to be going to Ann Arbor, obviously he's got a playoff game to coach next Friday. So big deal. Signed the number 2 recruiting class in the class of 2026. Lots of things at play to keep him here in Tuscaloosa, but the Michigan people are loud, and a lot of them are saying, let's go get Kalen DeBoer.
I think if Michigan really wants to, they certainly have the money to make an extremely compelling offer to Kalen DeBoer. I think they have a lot more money than Alabama has at their disposal, and if that is something that, if that's the language Kalen DeBoer speaks, then everybody has their number, and I think, Michigan could absolutely come up with an offer that would convince him maybe to get away. I don't think he is. I don't think he's looking to leave Tuscaloosa by any means. I think he is happy. I think his family's happy. I think he's enjoying what they're building here. But like I said, everybody has their number, and Michigan right now can basically offer the highest number of anybody because they have the backing of these multi-hundred billionaire donors. So we're just gonna have to see what happens. I mean, if that would put Alabama, I mean, that's a nightmare scenario for Alabama. If Kalen DeBoer, I know that a lot of fans are not happy with the way the last 2 seasons have gone, but you have to recognize that there's not Nick Saban out there. And, look, it might be Curt Cignetti, who knows, but like Nick Saban is not, he's not walking back through that door to coach this football team again. You're not going to find another Nick Saban. So you have one of the best coaches available in the country right now. I don't know who you go get if he's bouncing.
Katie, just your take on, I mean, you're welcome to other things, but your take on Kalen DeBoer and the Michigan rumor.
Yeah, I mean, like Mason said, Michigan's definitely capable of doing it. They have more money than Alabama. They can pay Kalen's buyout. They can pay him more than he's getting paid here. That's not always the bottom line for every person is the money, especially when you have a family. You think about moving them again, which, one of his daughters is already out of the house and she's at college in Washington. So even going up to Michigan, which he and his wife are from South Dakota, so they would be closer, I'm sure, to some family up there, but really not that much closer to their older daughter. Their younger daughter is still in, I think, middle school. So, she still has a lot of years of regular school left. So those are factors that I think sometimes people don't necessarily think about. And then Alabama is obviously, I mean, I think, does Michigan have the most wins all time in college football? Something like that. I mean, obviously Michigan has a very storied program as well, but I think you could argue, and especially from our biased Alabama perspective, Alabama has the most storied program of all time, has the most championships. That he's in a good spot here. There's been rumors, which Kalen said, when asked about Penn State, that he's happy here, his family's happy here, blah, blah, blah. He didn't talk to Penn State, which, that's probably not fully true.
So he might not have.
Yeah. So they say things that, it's hard to read into that kind of stuff. But I think Alabama is kind of a peak CFB job, so it really just depends on what he wants. And kind of, it seems like from early rumblings, he doesn't necessarily want to leave, but you never know in coaching searches. And I agree with you, Mason, that Alabama will be in a tough spot after how crazy this coaching cycle has been, trying to replace Kalen DeBoer if he does leave. And then I think that just sets off another huge domino chain effect. Like if Alabama has to find a head coach, then it's just that carousel is just going to keep spinning.
I don't even know who you try to target. And I don't think there's enough legs to this story to really even speculate on who you would target, but I have no idea.
I'm with Katie, though, that you've kind of made it to a peak in college football. I think there are 7 blue bloods in college football. I think it's Notre Dame, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama. But I do get a little antsy when another blue blood job opens. I don't think that Kalen DeBoer is going to be leaving. I don't think that this is going to take off much further than it already has. I think that Michigan will announce a coaching decision in the next couple of days, and I don't think it's going to involve Kalen DeBoer. I think that I don't necessarily think that the Kalen DeBoer's name being thrown out there last night was due to Jimmy Sexton. I do think that there's a big contingent of Michigan people that would like him. But I think that they're probably going to go with Jedd Fisch is my gut feeling. I think John Gruden's going to get a little bit of play just because of the Barstool Dave Portnoy connection. And look, he's got a good connection. He's got some connection to some people there as well. You're seeing Connor Stalions basically going out today saying everybody's talking about who they should hire.
That would be the funniest possible outcome.
They're not going to hire Stalions, but basically he's saying that they are his basically tweets and statements are saying that the powers that be at Michigan are all bickering and who's going to win, which political group is going to end up making the hire is kind of his is his take, is that it's going to be interesting to see who actually makes the decision of who hires that. So I don't think that this is going to take off much further. I think that Coach DeBoer is probably going to be pretty dialed into next Friday's playoff game. And I do think the college football, I do think the recruiting class is a pretty significant part of that. Courtney Morgan, though, worked at Michigan for a little bit of time. I do think that that's a little bit, that is something we should acknowledge. But I think that right now you're just watching a pretty gross story in a lot of different angles play out. And when you are at Alabama and people want to talk about Alabama, you're going to get mentioned in those coaching circles.
Yeah, I'm right there in agreement with you.
And I think it's a good, maybe a reality check, wake-up call for Alabama fans that have been discontent with Kalen DeBoer this season, that the two biggest openings in college football, Penn State and Michigan, that his name is being tied to those, that he's considered one of the best coaches out there.
That's been a huge, funny thing to I don't know, to acknowledge is, Kalen's a joke. Kalen's no good. He's not a good fit for us. He's the bad coach. But then every single time somebody has a coaching opening, it's, we want Kalen DeBoer. We want Kalen DeBoer. It's like they all want what you have right now here in Tuscaloosa. And I do think that Kalen is an extremely strong coach. And look, college football is a lot different than it was in 2006 and 7 and 8 when Coach Saban went 7-6 and then 12-2. You were in that, you lost an SEC championship. How many players did Coach DeBoer lose before he even moved his family to Tuscaloosa? Rebuilt reestablished things. Went 9-4. Like, come on, that's pretty good. And then back to the SEC championship, 10-3. You're still playing this season for some significant football. Lost another 20 players last year after the 9-4 season.
You improved this year. Like, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I think that he is right on track for great success here in Tuscaloosa, and I sure hope that he stays. Is my personal feeling. That's about all I have for today. We touched on. Did I miss something, or you got something else?
No, I've just got one very quick thing.
Sure.
Because this is just mind-boggling to me. Alabama sent out a new offer this morning to a 2027 defensive. Looks like lineman, edge rusher, kind of tweener player out of Mississippi. What would be, in one high school football season to you, a really good number of tackles for loss?
Anything over 16?
41. Probably 41 this season. 41 tackles for loss this year. 103 total tackles and 15.5 sacks for Mitchell Turner out of Louisville High School there in Mississippi, the latest guy to get an offer from the Crimson Tide. That is a absurd stat line.
Freddie Roach, go get that guy.
We all know how accurate high school stat keeping is. So,
but what's the fudging from 41, and what's the reality? Is it 25? Yeah. That's fine. That's still really good.
It's not a good year. Yeah.
Freddie Roach. Let's go get Mitchell Turner. Freddie Roach. Make it happen. Absolutely. Right there in Mississippi, we've done pretty well in that state.
I think so.
So we'll see if Mitchell Turner, class of 27.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what he does and how his next 12 months goes right here on BamaCentral.com. Follow Mason Woods for all of the recruiting coverage at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. Follow Katie Windham for all the coverage of every sport. She's all over football, basketball, softball, baseball, doing a lot of everything, really. And obviously running her podcast, Crimson Flame. Follow Katie Windham at Katie Windham_ on the Twitter machine. You guys follow us at Bama Central. It's been a lot of fun this week. We'll have a lot of fun with Brax Garrison of Purple Turtle Roofing tomorrow, right here live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.